Hello Internet, I am the hero of Julios, once again with another One Piece chapter summary. This week's chapter is chapter 1048, 20 Years. It was a little hard to remember the number because there's a number in the title, so it caused a little bit of a mix-up. Anyways, the art for this week is a continuation of our current cover story series. It's the Germa Double Six's Emotionless Voyage. We have Brûlé here in front of a mirror letting Cracker know that the Germa Double Six have arrived on Chocolate Town. So the two intruders were most likely the two that Brûlé is talking about, unless there's another set of intruders that are also arriving, which is unlikely. But it's Reiju and Ichiji. They both have seemed to have arrived to save Niji and Yonji. I don't know if it's so much out of a loving relationship as they just don't want the two of them dissected for science to up Big Mom's game. This is the safest time to try and invade since Big Mom is currently in Wano causing a ruckus. Well, that's pretty much all that we have to talk about on the cover art, so let's get into the actual chapter itself, which begins right where we left off, Luffy's giant fist heading straight for Kaido, and Momonosuke, well, being Momonosuke, worried about not being good enough to do what he needs to do until he has that little thought, that thought bubble of his family and plus everything that he just flashbacked about in the last chapter, and headbutts the island. I mean, it's a good plan, and he's using his head. So that's pretty much all we have on Momonosuke's situation right now. It's mostly about Kaido and the last 20 years. As Luffy's fist is coming down to Kaido, Kaido tells him, "Straw Hat, did you know that the last hero of this country was burned to death?" I mean, technically he was boiled in oil, but oil burns are roughly the same. As he says that, though, fire starts coming out of his mouth and starts to engulf him. And eventually Kaido grows into this giant embodiment of fire and magma. And you can actually see, if you look really close at the art, I'm pretty sure that's the actual Kaido in the center of the forehead. And then the big thing we see is like the magma outer body of Kaido. And the reason I think that that's what's going on here is all of a sudden that giant fist doesn't look so gigantic anymore. You can tell by the end of the chapter. But the fist and Kaido's head are now roughly the same size. So either Luffy's fist shrunk or Kaido grew. So we got this big giant flaming thing, which since he's on fire now, Luffy lets go because it's hot. And Kaido tells him, "Go ahead, let go. I'm not moving." So as the two are getting ready to clash, Kaido flashes back to when he first invaded Wano. And mostly the flashback is just the suffering of Wano, the samurais who stood against him, the daimyos who also stood against him. One of the daimyos actually looks a lot like Zoro, so probably a relative. We already know that Zoro is most likely a distant son of Wano, but more than likely we're not going to get like some big chosen one connection. It's kind of more like an Easter egg Oda put in for us. Regardless, after the end of this flashback, we cut to the very end of it, where Orochi is talking about how this is what Wano deserves for, hurting the Kurozumi family. I want you all to suffer. And it nicely segues into Orochi's giant flaming serpent coming after Hiyori on the ground, and just as he's about to get her, Denjiro shows up and chops his head off. Now, I don't know. I'm pretty sure when all the scabbards cut his heads off, it was 7 heads. So even then that wasn't enough. I truly do believe that it's like the Yamato no Orochi in Japanese folktales, that all 8 heads have to be cut off simultaneously. Either that, or Orochi was using his last available head. It's a little unclear. The only reason that I think this might be the official death of Orochi is that Oda goes into the detail of showing us the lanterns that the people of Wano have been sending into the sky, and one of those lanterns says, "I wish Orochi would go away." That lantern is shown right next to Denjiro having just cut off Orochi's head, This could just be Oda's way of faking us out again, but whichever way it goes, I'm not going to be surprised anymore. Orochi has died so many times now that he is just a pest. Which, if you ask Kaido, if you ask Wano, without Kaido backing him up, that's all Orochi's ever been, is a pest. The chapter ends with Kaido and Luffy coming to blows. Luffy's fist, Kaido's forehead, as the two are heading towards each other. However, Luffy is confident that he will not get burned by Kaido because Old Man Hyogoro taught him how to use Ryuo, the ability to punch without actually punching your target. Hopefully, Luffy has mastered that to a point where he's able to handle this, but as always, we won't know until next chapter. And there's really not much else to go on with this chapter. This is just another setting up chapter. We did get a moment where Usopp was talking to Kinemon and Kiku, telling them both to stay alive. You know, hey, you guys can't die here. Come on, I'm not a doctor. I need to get you to Chopper. But there really wasn't much else that went on in this chapter. It's just setting up for what is most likely going to be the end of Wano, or at least the end of Luffy and Kaido's clash. Thank you for watching as always, and I will see you in the next video. This is the Hero of Julios, Xing out.